Welcome to Cinderella Stories with Ash and Sav, where it is, for me, a no makeup Monday because, Ash, I don't know about you, but I feel like our whole crew has been kind of like going through it. And the best thing that you texted me last night was, so do you want to do this virtual tomorrow? Because I was tired and there's like a little virus or something going around and I feel like I got hit with that bug and I'm like, yeah, no, it's not cute. And it wasn't like the hangover type of bug. It was like actually like my energy was depleted.
The girls are going through it because it's not only the trials, it's also the tribulations that have got us down and got us down bad. I mean, me personally, one of the biggest things that happened to me this week is I nearly died. And I'm not even saying that.
Sorry. What? You're just gonna wait, you didn't even text me that you died? First of all, okay, run it back first. Okay, wait.
Okay, let me tell you.
Yeah, but you're still supposed to text me that you're dead.
RIP, good luck with the podcast. Keep it going in my memory. No, okay, so you know how I've been painting my entryway of my apartment since October 3rd?
Yeah.
So I was like, I need to get this done. It's been more than enough time. And so I was painting the highest part of my ceiling. I have 12-foot ceilings. No big deal.
Must be nice.
But I had to step on a chair to reach it.
Okay.
In the chair's defense, I was holding the paintbrush in one hand and I was on FaceTime in another hand. Nonetheless, I'm like doing the little rete-te because I'm doing bootleg lime wash. And I kind of lean back to see if the pattern is patterning. It wasn't. Okay. In that moment, the chair tips and sends me flying from 10 feet in the air. And I have two things in both my hands. And before I even realize it, I like hit the ground. I don't brace myself for the fall. I broke my closet door because I rammed directly into it. The chair scratched up the wall. I have aggressive bruising. Hold on. Let me show you my leg if I can. My whole entire shin is bruised from ankle to knee because it I don't even know what it hit. And then I was just lying there. I'm like, this project is done. Regardless of anything else, it's done. So I nearly died.
Oh,
today.
Wow.
That was part of my trials and tribulations. But yeah, the girls have been going
today.
Through it. But yeah.
And I'm guessing it was I'm gonna first take a guess who was on the phone. It was Carrie or maybe somebody
Sebastian.
Else, but
it was Sebastian.
Sebastian! Shout out to Sebastian. So he fell with you.
No, because he's like, oh, that looked like it hurt, and then he starts laughing, and I'm like, because the chair also hit my face, and I had a little cocoa on the top of my eyebrow as well.
Oh no!
I gotta do my first TSN broadcast on Friday.
Cocoa.
Yeah. Anyway. We made it. We made it out unscathed. The weekend was rough. Nothing went according to plan.
You know what?
And you know what? You make plans, God laughs, whatever they say. So here we are.
Facts.
Cinderella Stories, episode 20. But it puts us in the overachiever category because
1% of podcasts make it to episode 20.
Mm-hmm.
And we are in said 1%.
Yes. So congratulations to us and our whole team and for everybody that listens. We are going to keep rolling and we're very excited. Even to talk about today's episode. I know that things have been down bad for us, but every time I get to do this show, it adds a little bit of life back into our personal lives. Here we are.
Here we are. Well, okay. Exactly. Well, we're coming off of our interview with Teresa at the Glory Media event, Women of the Year event, which was so cool, so much fun. I know I had a blast. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I was blessed.
Yeah. So I think continuing to roll with the theme of obviously I think we should just get straight into some news about the current WNBA CBA because it's kind of hot off the press as of this morning. Being Monday as we record this. Once again, I'm having a bit of a no makeup Monday. I have a little bit of eyeliner, but that's saving everything right now for me. And so basically what ended up happening is that the WNBA, they had a extension granted on their collective bargaining agreement that was supposed to be settled October 30th. They extended it for a month. It's when your favorite teacher gives you that extra 1-2 credit extension. Mm-hmm. And so he pushes it back a month. So now the deadline was November 30th. But then guess what? Sunday night, this past week, November 30th came and it went. And there was like that's my best impression of crickets, I guess. Crickets. Nothing. There was nothing.
Cricket's at a
Crickets.
chiropractor. I don't know what that
I know, right?
was.
Like
Sorry,
I need
what?
Evan to put
Yeah. But
Evan
yes,
put some sound effects on that.
they no, don't actually. I loved it. I love your rendition of it. Yeah, but there was like, even again, to point to the sides being so far apart, the league wanted 6 weeks of an extension. At one point, the Players Association wanted a 24-hour extension. So if that's not indicative of
Mm,
where things are in the negotiation and how far apart these two sides may actually be, I'm not sure what is. People are hoping at this point they're in the same chapter. I don't even think they're on the same book. I believe they are in the same series. So
mm.
ultimately, they will push back the deadline until January 9th, which gives some additional time to try and work through some of the issues. The problem is that things are supposed to kick off in terms of the expansion draft, in terms of free agency on the 11th. Free
Yep.
agency starts January 11th for the
Yep.
WNBA. None of that can transpire until this is ratified, the CBA, the expansion draft takes place, then we can get into free agency. And Toronto and Portland are sitting around twiddling their thumbs,
Exactly.
just waiting for the best case scenario, which is for this to get wrapped up quickly.
Exactly. As you said, Toronto and Portland, like, they're obviously on standby for the WNBA CBA to kind of figure itself out. Because you got to remember, around this time last year, the Valkyries were already in their expansion draft. Like they did it, I believe, earlier December last year, if I'm not mistaken. Double check the dates on that. We'll put up a little board.
I think it
Correct me
was
if I'm
December
wrong,
6th.
Evan. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
And so the fact that, like, like Toronto fans, obviously us with our podcast being based out of the city, there should be a lot of excitement around that right now. And like there should be talks about like, well, who could we draft? And like who's the players that are protected? And even with that, we can do a separate episode on how the expansion draft works and how they predict the expansion draft is going to work with two different teams now being expanded at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
They're looking at an earlier 2000s model. But regardless, like it definitely puts everything on hold. And as a result, like people are already, and by people I mean ESPN is already, and inside sources are already predicting that it's going to push back deadlines and dates in the WNBA as is.
Of
Like
course.
already with this CBA being pushed back, everything's now pushed back,
Yeah.
including, and if I bring up, so here is a part of the article that I highlighted actually. WNBA free agency typically starts January 11th with contracts able to be signed starting February 1st,
Mm-hmm.
and the season annually tipping off in May, as we all know. But negotiations linger, the source said that they are preparing for an expedited calendar. And in an extreme scenario, the source also said that they're even prepping for an expansion draft, free agency, and college draft to all be held between March and the beginning of April.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, everything is happening at once potentially. They expect, like, because the CBA negotiations have been pushed back and pushed back and pushed back, they're like, okay, well, now we got expansion, we have free agency, we have like the regular draft class that we all have to consider, and all of it's going to either, in my prediction, get crunched together between less than a month, which is also kind of not fair to any of the players, or it is going to get pushed back. And I think to your point, Ashley, with the all the books being, I guess, in the same series, I would
Mm-hmm.
say they're on the same shelf, maybe not in the same series. Um, I have a feeling that the deadline, like the entire date of the WNBA, could be pushed back. I think the schedule in general for like the start of the WNBA this season might have to be pushed back too. We'll see.
Well, usually they're going to release like a drop dead date at a certain point. So probably in January, when a lot of the bigger ticket events start to get pushed back and start to get rescheduled. Usually there is a point in time where they're like, okay, if the season is supposed to start May 1st, for example, then everything needs to get done by April 2nd, so we can have a proper training camp, so we can make sure everyone's fit to play, so we can reduce injuries. And if things don't get settled by April 2nd, which means all the aforementioned drafts that you talked about take place, then that's when the schedule gets pushed back. So I don't think we're in critical territory in that regard just yet, but it is something to note. And it's not unusual, though, as well, that these things get expedited really quickly once the paper is signed, once signatures are down and both sides agree, okay, yeah, sure, we've increased the vet max, the super max contract to $1.1 million. Okay, we've allowed for X amount of maternal leave. We've made sure that travel is going to be A, B, C, and D, whatever the main lingering issues are. Once that's all ratified and it's pen to paper, it's go time. I don't necessarily think it's unfair to players to have all of those events squished into one. I think everyone is very aware what's at stake. And it seems like this player contingent at this point is down for the betterment of the cause and willing to take personal L's in this moment for future gains. And so if there happens to be an expansion draft 1 week followed by the actual NCAA draft, all while free agency is swirling around, it is what it is.
It is what it is, but it's not ideal. It's far from, and I know this whole thing is not ideal, but I just feel like, I think that like a part of free agency and having the luxury of free agency is kind of seeing how the branches shake out with potential teams and suitors across the league. I feel like as a player, like you're just not able to have as clear, I would say maybe as a judgment. If you, and I'm just saying like they probably have some background regardless of like where they want to go, et cetera, et cetera. But when team makes transactions, I think the players have to, like free agents in particular, have to kind of suss out whether they're a fit with that organization or not. And so I think that this does definitely like the expedited process definitely I don't know, like I said, it doesn't give them enough time to really like sit down and be like, should we go here, should we go there? So it's going to be maybe fun for the
Really?
fans,
I feel
probably
like it
not
gives
fun for
them
the
more. I think it gives them
organizations.
more time. I think it gives them more time
you
because
you think?
if free agency is supposed to start January 11th, but it actually doesn't open until the middle of February, early March, based on these negotiations, you actually have an additional 6 weeks to figure out where you want to go. And let's not get it twisted. The players are talking to each other behind the scenes. There might be
For
like
sure.
wink and handshake agreements that are taking place. Like once free agency opens, we want to bring you over. Okay, who else are you considering? The agents are talking to the GMs. Like information is still swirling and getting collected. And so I don't think it's more stressful for the players. If anything, they have more time to
My
decide where they want to be.
and I see that logic 100%. I'm sure that's all probably already happening like well in advance. And also like typical of most free agencies, but like you're
Mm-hmm.
right, there is an additional 6 weeks. I just see it as you could talk all you want. Typically, like there's organizations that like make a transaction last minute that you didn't see coming.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, wait, we had all this sorted out and now that's taken away. Oh, wait, no, we were supposed to go. Wait, why'd you sign that person? Now the salary cap, it's like there's a lot of the, especially now this whole new salary cap that was supposed to be negotiated, which also, by the way, Ash, we actually didn't even talk about the new CBA agreement that was put on the table that even caused this extension. Basically, um, the new CBA agreement that was offered by the WNBA side, the organization side, to the WNBPA side
Mm-hmm.
was a max salary cap of 1.1 million, with I believe the lowest salary cap being 220,000. And then that creates an average of somewhere around 440,000 per player on each team. And the WNBA players, they said no. And also, it did also include a little bit of rev sharing as well. But they saw it as this is still not matching. First of all, this is not matching what we asked for. This is not matching what we're building in the off season with, unrivaled having ownership stakes there, with Project B also getting like actual stakes in that
And
I guess
millions.
organization if you want to,
And everyone's getting
and like
millions.
and millions and paying millions.
Yeah.
So
The,
that's how kind of how we got here.
the biggest sticking point is going to be the revenue sharing point blank period. Okay. Right now, the players get less than 10%. At this stage in the NBA life cycle, the players negotiated for their nearly 50% stake. And the WNBA, with inflation included, is worth more now than the NBA was at that time. It was like the mid to late 90s. So these women are not going to put their weapons down until they get something close to 50%, would be my best guess. I'm thinking 30, 40, to be honest with you, because that's a significant jump from where they're at now. And that does play a role in negotiations, unfortunately. It's like when you get hired by a company, and this is just like life advice for the girlies. If you get hired by a company and they're offering you like a grade 3 pay grade, and there's like 7 pay grades, for example. You want to fight tooth and nail as much as possible to get into grade 4, even if it's the bottom of grade 4, because then it increases your likelihood of getting significant raises going forward. If you start in a lower pay grade, which essentially the WNBA players are, they're at sub 10%, it's very difficult to negotiate a 30% increase in salary from one pay
Mm-hmm.
grade, because you're jumping 3 pay grades. And essentially that's what they're asking for. And I'm not
Exactly.
saying that they don't deserve it. I'm saying that it's a tough negotiation when the point is you want as much as you can, they want to give as little as possible. You have to meet somewhere in the middle. It's not going to be the entire farm in the same negotiation. It's just not. It's not feasible. If they're able to pull that off, I need whoever that lawyer was doing that negotiations to come and fix my entire life, because it'll be a hell of a coup. It'll be a hell of a coup, but it just doesn't generally work that way in negotiations. But right now, the rev share is going to be the sticking point, because that is the place that the players have the opportunity to make the most amount of money.
Um, okay, what's the over under on a WNBA lockout? Do you think it's over 50% chance?
I would say 60-40 in favor of a lockout, not my preference, that just I could see it happening. There is simply too much at stake at this juncture. This is a landmark moment. This is a pivotal time and a huge opportunity for the players to not only set themselves up, but as I mentioned before, to make sure that they send this league on the trajectory that they would have hoped to come into the league on. And so it seems as though they're all galvanized together, Nafisa Collier being a big reason behind that. And they're able to sit there and say, okay, it's going to be uncomfortable. We're not maybe going to get to play basketball as soon as we want to. But if we're all bought in and we have strength in numbers, then we are going to just stick this out as long as it takes. And it feels like that's where they're at, but also both sides understanding that there's too much to lose to have a strike, a worker strike, basically, that
Mm-hmm.
lasts more than a month into the season.
Yeah, I agree. I think that yeah, I would even push it up to 65%.
Okay, risk
I think that there's
taker.
probably I think there's a lockout. I really
Yeah.
do think there's a lockout looming. And to your point, like never I honestly feel like outside of the actual birth of the WNBA itself, never has there ever been a more pivotal time in the league.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the door hinge. This is the salary rungs that
Yeah.
100% to your point, like determines the next 10, 15, 20, if not 50 years
It's going to have
ahead.
implications.
And
Yeah.
absolutely so many implications. And so this is why they're fighting tooth and nail. And also at this point in time, they have the most leverage. Like the WNBA, they have to feel like they're getting threatened to some extent by, like, if they want to call it a bluff, you go ahead and call it a bluff. But like, $2 million a season is not a bluff to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's never been competition that could potentially cross over into WNBA season like there is now. Like Unrivaled, Athletes Unlimited, Project B. And we're gonna get into Project B just a second because I just want to like quick update with that.
Yeah.
But it's just a matter of like use this. It's like when you're getting recruited, Ashley Docking, LLC, Esquire, getting
PhD,
recruited to her next
WWE,
PhD.
STEM.
Mm-mm. Getting recruited to her next law firm.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
So,
Mm-hmm.
like, whatever. This place wants you, but guess what? You get 3 other offers. You're
Yeah.
like, pay me the money.
Yeah.
And
You
also,
leverage
not
the
just that.
opportunities.
Do I get a stake? Will I get a partnership? Da, da, da. Exactly. Leverage, leverage, leverage. And so I think that's why it is so crucial now that the WNBA like stands on business.
And listen, I know these girls love ball. I obviously understand that. And everyone who is ever been involved in a sport that they're obsessed with, you want to play as much as you can. So while there's a pathway that allows for players to play either Unrivaled or Project B as well as the W because they're in offsetting seasons, I'm sure that there's a few people who are like, oh, you're going to pay me $2 million for 6 months of work. And then the rest of the year, I do or I don't have to play.
Turks and Caicos.
Because when money is not an option anymore, there's a level of free, or money's not an object anymore, excuse me. There's a level of freedom
Yeah.
where you're like, you sit and you think, you're like, okay, wait, I've spent my entire life working to this point, and now I'm finally getting paid my worth and I'm getting paid a wage where I have some flexibility. Well, I don't need to beg the WNBA for crumbs anymore. So I'm happy to sit
Hmm.
out and wait. We've talked about this before. It's going to hurt kind of like those middling players that don't necessarily have the sponsorship opportunities, are too old to have hit the NIL deals, and then aren't like the all-star type. Those are the players that are going to get hurt the most with this. But ultimately, it's like, who do you sacrifice for the greater good? Well, everyone has to sacrifice. It's going to hurt some people more than others. And I'm sure the PA is very well aware of that. And I'm sure there's incremental things that might be put in place to help ease the burden. But nonetheless, this is where we're at.
Yeah. I mentioned it before, Project B. I just want to kind of update everybody on the roster, I guess, on the additions to the league that has been since announced. So obviously we knew that NECA was the first signing for Project B, and that kind of like set the tone of how serious they are of with her being the president of the WNBPA. But since then, Alyssa Thomas, Kelsey Mitchell, you know how much I love my Kelsey Mitchell,
Mm-hmm.
Sophie Cunningham,
Yeah.
Jonquel Jones,
Yeah.
Camila Cardozo, and the list keeps on going. And so we're gonna see more and more and more commits. And to keep in mind that their space is, I believe, 66. So it's still not the entire WNBA. They can't facilitate everyone,
Yeah.
but they're also just starting. So they're only going to expand. They're only going to grow. They're probably going to see how this season goes and go from there. But like 66 is a good number to start with, especially because there's still other off-season options for other players to consider as well. So yeah, I'm excited about all this, what this means for women's basketball as a whole. But yeah, ultimately, like being a fan of the WNBA, I really do hope that they figure something out soon
Mm-hmm.
and that's equitable and reasonable going forward. But yeah, that's the new CBA agreement update. Crazy, yo.
I love it. Listen, I love a mess. Just not my life being a mess, but I love someone else's mess.
I love it when tea is not my own.
No,
I
a
love
thousand
hot tea,
percent.
but
I love
it
it.
can't be mine.
I love it.
All right, Ash, big news kind of coming out of the NWSL following the championship. Shout out to Gotham FC for winning over the Washington Spirit. That was a great game, obviously. What a season for Washington and specifically for Trinity Rodman. She's just like my idol, I think, at this point. Like, imagine being her right now, Ash.
She's living the best life possible, honestly. Like, she's such an it girl. It was the Paris Olympics that really put her over the edge and put her in the popular culture spotlight. It was her signature pink braids that had all the little girls at the pitch copying her and looking to emulate her. It's her ability to connect with fans, whether it's saying hello to them or making TikToks with them. She's always down. She had that cutie little love affair with Ben Shelton, who is an up and comer on the on the
How do you guys
AT
do it?
on the ATP tour. And yeah, everything seemingly was just coming up Trinity Rodman. But then she had back pain that kept her out for a ton of time from the NWSL schedule. She made a triumphant return, scoring an absolute banger of a goal. And we're like, oh, okay, she's back. But then the injury bug came right back up and grabbed her. She sprained her right MCL on October 15th when Washington's 4-0 or 4-0 victory, I should say, over a Mexican side, Monterrey, in the CONCACAF W Champions Cup. And then she played the second half of the NWSL finals, but was less than herself just based on all of those injuries. So she's needing to reset, regroup, and all of this while conversations swirling around about her if she's going to go play in England because there is overseas interest in one Miss Trinity Rodman.
Yeah, that is exactly where I was just heading. So the bigger conversation here is, in my opinion, just around female athletes in North America, specifically in the football slash soccer. I don't know. Are you a football or are you a soccer? What do you call it?
I say
I call it
soccer.
football.
I mainly say soccer because I actually play football, like American football. So that's kind of
Okay.
where my mind goes, but both are valid.
Okay. I call it football just because it just makes more sense. It's football. Like you play it with your foot. And
Oh,
also
not
the
you
rest
being
of the
it.
world calls it football.
Oh, I'm sorry. All of a sudden, you're a purist of the beautiful game. My bad. Yeah, watches she's
Cinderella
the
Stories has changed me.
yes, watches she's the man once, and all of a sudden, yeah, exactly. He speaks in a British accent. Yeah, that was a beautiful goal. Hmm. Yeah,
But yeah, I call it football.
footy.
I don't know. It makes more sense to me.
Okay.
And also soccer players, they don't make fun of me when I say football instead. So, anyways, so yeah, so Trinity, she is kind of opening up this bigger conversation that, from my perspective, looking in, specifically around Tobin Heath. And we talked about Tobin Heath last week or the other week on the podcast. She's a Hall of Fame inductee. She was like hands down one of the best legends of the game ever. She was the it girl. But imagine basically the equivalent of like press button now, Michael Jordan advising, an up and coming star, let's call it Anthony Edwards, hey, don't go to a league that's equivalent basically to like an NBA. Instead, stay back home and stay in like your
The
city, your town,
CEBL.
whatever. But imagine the CEBL, right? And so that's kind of what Tobin is telling Trinity right now. It's like, hey, don't, I know that you're getting recruited to go over to Europe and you're a star and all that, but like I suggest that you stay home. And she's saying this under obviously the best circumstances. I'm trying to see if I pulled her quote exactly, but if not, then we'll
I
just run
can
the
I
clip
can
right
fill in the
here.
gap. I can fill in the gap with that.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
Tobin Heath on her podcast with her wife is called A Touch More. She basically says she advises players all the time on whether or not to go play overseas. She's done both, so she has a unique perspective. And with Trinity Rodman, her thought was Trin is such a star. She transcends the game. And when you go over and play in the WSL and you go play in Europe, it's not that kind of culture. It's the team first, it's the crest on your chest first, and they don't really have the star culture that the United States, quite frankly, do. They love a hero, they love a villain, they're happy to build you up. So she's saying that if Trinity goes to Europe, some of that star power might get lost and she might not be able to leverage it into the type of career she deserves or maybe the type of sponsorships that she's able to garner. And that is why she said she's in the 5% of people she advises not to go, even though she's very keen on people experiencing football in Europe.
Yeah, and I think that she's making something of a point, and there's something to be said about keeping talent at home and growing the game at home. And I think there is only a handful of pivotal players that have that pull, that have that leverage to elevate a league that they're already playing in to bring it up to, and maybe even, hear me out, attract talent from other sides of the world to come play in and make the league even more credible, even more competitive in the global scale. And now NWSL, it's already a really competitive league, but obviously with the history of European soccer, like football. Now you got me on soccer. With the history of
me.
yeah, whatever. With
Me.
the history of the beautiful game of football. It being in
It's a
Europe.
beautiful game, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a beautiful game
Isn't it? Yeah.
of footy being
I
based in Europe.
yeah.
I think that it's I'm not a I just don't know how I feel about this conversation. I truly don't know. I'm torn. I see both sides, and so I guess I would like love to hear your perspective on. Do you think this is good for Trinity first and foremost? Let's look out for the player first. Do you think this would be a good move for her to stay? Does Tobin does she have a point in saying stay and continue to be a star, let your stock continue to rise? You're gonna be untouchable soon. Nike deals, if you don't know, who's she signed with?
Adidas.
Let her stocks rise in Adidas or any brand sponsorship for that matter that she's signed to. Um, or will she get a little washed out? Maybe that's not the right word. Diluted in the talent pool that Europe already has. And also the culture of not necessarily getting way too high on one player versus in America, as we've seen in women's basketball plenty of times in the NCAA, building up a star as you talked about, or building up a villain as you talked about. And so do you think it's selfish for, you know, a player like Tobin to want to see Trinity stay in NWSL? Or is that kind of the right call?
I wouldn't call Tobin selfish because I don't think she has a vested interest one way or the other. I think she's putting Trinity first when she's giving her advice to try and decide what would be the best career wise for Trinity. Here's the thing that I would say, and it's a case to go to Europe and explore what that could mean for your career and your football development as well. We've seen it with Naomi Girma. Alyssa Thompson recently made the move, both NWSL stars, both US women's national team stars. They are now playing in Europe alongside Olivia Smith, Canadian superstar, a young girl that went straight to Europe. She didn't play in the NWSL. And I think that there's a bad habit of really centralizing North America as the pinnacle of everything. You know, in Toronto, we're pretty guilty of it. There's other places across the country that have stuff to offer,
Really?
but we have main character. Yeah, exactly. We have main character energy. And I think it's fair to say that when it comes to sports, the United States have main character energy. And there's a reason why, though. They do take a lot of pride in building up these phenomenal athletes who have world-renowned skills and talents and showcase it at that level on a consistent basis. But when it comes to soccer, it is the WSL. The talent is better. The development will be better. From a football standpoint, she likely will improve if she goes and plays there. And also, I think that we are so disconnected from Europe to a degree. There's a reason why there's a $244 million partnership endowment with Manchester United Women. Okay. Well, Manchester City, they have two partners and they collect $220 million from partnerships alone. Now, some of this is money that's split with the men's side as well, but nonetheless, that's what the women's side gets. They also have matches where they're playing at an Emirates stadium that's filled to the gills of nearly 60,000 people that are coming to watch these matches. The biggest difference is from a competition standpoint is when you talk about the WSL, the have and the have-nots, there is no parity. And that is the biggest strength in the NWSL is every time you hit that pitch, you are about to be in for a battle, for a war, and anyone can win on any given night for the most part. When you are in the end, when you talk about the WSL, the top 6 teams are good. The top 2-3 teams are contenders. And then right now, as it stands on this Monday morning, the bottom 7 have a combined 8 points in 8 or 9 matches. So the parity isn't there. This talent is, but because there's no salary cap like there is in the NWSL, the distribution of talent isn't the same. And so that's obviously one of the problems with a league that doesn't have a salary cap is that you can buy the players that you want to have on your team. So the popularity is there in Europe. The fandom is there in Europe. I also wonder from a marketing standpoint, somebody like Trinity Rodman, who is going to supersede any team that she plays on because that's just in her nature. She is magnetic. She is also supremely talented. And that is a very rare combination. But I also wonder if she goes to Europe, if she can't reinvent herself to a degree. Like, yeah, Trinity Rodman for Adidas. Sure. What about Trinity Rodman for Chanel? What about Trinity Rodman for designer? You know what I mean? Like, what
that's a problem I would love to have.
What about Trinity Rodman for Burberry? Like, these are things. It's like, yes, US marketing dollars might not be the same, but also she is American. So I don't think people are going to shy away from having her as a brand representative should the chance be there. But it opens up a whole new world for her. And again, you can go and you can come back. It's also not like I'm signing my life away for 10 years to live across the pond. So I don't think that the same rules apply to Trinity Rodman because I think she is, I don't want to say bigger than soccer because that's a really hard thing to sell. But I think that her personal brand is so strong that people who are fans of her and fans of the game will follow her wherever she goes. There's a reason that X amount of million people wake up on weekends to watch the English Premier League on Saturdays and Sundays, setting an alarm at 8 a.m., 9 a.m. to make sure that they can watch the football that they want to see that's being played in Europe. I could see Trinity Rodman being the catalyst for that change in the women's side. I'm now waking up early because I want to see Trin.
Yeah. So, okay. So are you telling me that if you were her agent tomorrow, you would say, yeah, you're going to Europe?
I mean, I think there's definitely a case for it. Also, she's going to get paid more than the NWSL can afford to pay her.
How much do you think
the transfer
what do you think the budget would be?
Oh my God, she get millions of dollars. The transfer fee for Olivia Smith was the largest one that we've ever seen for a women's player.
I remember that. It was 1 point something million euro.
Okay,
which was like
it
two
was
point
1
something.
million euros, which translates to $1.84 million Canadian, a world record for
Yeah,
women's soccer at the time of the transfer, July 2025. So, and she went to play for Arsenal. So I think Trinity Rodman would command that level of transfer fee, if not more. And then additionally, her
definitely
salary.
more.
So, like, again, the money is there, the opportunity to improve and develop is there, the opportunity to tap into a new market is there. I think there's no I think it's a win-win scenario for her no matter what she decides to do. But I think that she
Mm.
could open up a whole new world if she went to Europe and kind of change the culture there.
I feel like I'm gonna challenge. I'm just challenging you. I'm in the mood to challenge today. Like I'm just saying, like, so what do you feel like? What from what you're telling me, I hear the biggest opportunity is Europe. You get better there. You get paid more money there. You know, it's like better cause, better.
Better bitches,
It's
food
like
tastes better.
better, food tastes better.
Yeah.
I walk, I walk better.
Yeah.
Whatever. Like, so I don't. So now on the flip side, what's the case to even staying in the NWSL at that point? Like
Well,
at that point, it feels like almost like the I don't want to call it the kiddie pond, but like if you're saying that all this opportunity and better players over there, then why would you waste this woman's time, energy, effort, and youth
not her
playing
youth.
there? I don't know.
We really do care
Well,
about her youth. No, presume I'm being dead serious because you don't want to waste your youthful years, girls. Trust me. Not that I did, but you don't want to. It's too fun to
separate
enjoy them.
podcast.
Yeah. Um, the argument to stay is again, she gets to be close to friends and family, her man theoretically, if they stay together. Not that I think anyone should be making decisions on your boyfriend, but I think that being at home is a factor. The lifestyle is very different. Things will change for her in terms of her lifestyle. I think that there is also an argument to say, hey, I can be this ambassador that helps grow the women's game of soccer tenfold. After the last Women's World Cup 2023, I believe it was, viewership of the WSL increased nearly 300% in Europe. Nearly 300% after one women's flagship event. Okay. So there is real change to be had, and it's the fastest growing sport for women in the US is women's soccer. So Trinity Rodman could sit there and say, I want to make sure that other girls in the United States are able to play the game that I love, and I'm going to be ambassador for change. That's something that she can only do in the NWSL. It's not necessarily needed in England because soccer is such a part of the culture there. So that's another distinction as well. It just depends on what she
Um,
values. And there's no wrong answer because it's the decision that she gets to
so if
make.
you're her agent, you're
I'm
not
saying
pushing her
let's
any which way.
I'm no, if I'm her agent, I'm saying let's dip our toe into Europe.
Okay.
For sure.
Okay.
For sure. You have I
Where
just
would you like?
just from a competitive standpoint, like you want to go where the best is, and then I want to be the
Yeah.
best. So let's go see. There's a reason Naomi Girma
As
left. There's a reason Alyssa Thompson left, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, I agree. I 100% agree with that. I feel like, and I just feel like, not just like on a competition level, but on a global level of like getting new perspectives and everything. If you haven't had the opportunity to travel too much or to really experience a new culture,
Yeah.
like you know me, I'm a diehard travel person. Like I would take that opportunity
I was gonna
in a heartbeat.
say
Yeah, girl, you know I'm out of
no.
here.
The only reason I'm laughing is because I was like, no, like I was gonna say like no, you're a culture vulture, but I didn't mean it in that way. I meant it like I meant it in like you want to lap up and learn about other cultures. But then as
Culture
I said it,
appreciation vulture.
I was like, that's not what that means. That's not what that means.
That's
I take it back.
you're close. You're close. You're
I
close.
was like,
You're close. You're
no,
close.
no, no.
Redacted.
Derogatory. Yeah, derogatory. No,
No,
no, no.
no, no, that's non-derogatory.
That's not what I was looking for. Yeah, yeah, yeah. My bad. No, and I think that
You
there's
found a
something
really
to
cool
that.
story.
Yeah. For
You
Kadeisha
found
Buchanan.
a really cool story. Yeah, absolutely. I would love
Okay,
to like go into
so
that.
speaking of North Americans who are playing overseas, Kadeisha Buchanan helped to launch a foundation to help girls from single parent homes reach their football goals. This is something that was announced yesterday. I saw the widespread news. So Kadeisha plays for Chelsea in the WSL. She's also a member of Team Canada. Team Canada, excuse me. She plays center back, which is one of the most important positions on the pitch for those who don't know. She is also the youngest of 7 daughters to a single mother. They moved from house to house when she was younger. She remembers a specific time where she was like, we were living in Toronto, Mississauga, Georgetown, Brampton.
Brampton.
And she remembers a time that an email went out to the team, Kadeisha Buchanan, fees are still due. Your fees are still due. And it's like, did that need to be an all hands Like that couldn't have been a separate like message on the side or call on a landline on the side. And so sometimes those moments just shape you so deeply because there's like a shame associated with it. There's an what's it called when you feel like less than, there's an inadequacy attached to that as well. And so she credits by and large her community, her mom's friends, her mom's family, teammates, parents. Hey, can you come get Kadeisha and take her to practice? And she said without that support she never would have gotten to where she was, which is the pinnacle of women's soccer, the WSL. And so in conjunction with FIFA, the global governing body for soccer, they gave her $25,000 to be able to provide financial assistance and mentorship to 12 girls aged 12 to 16 and help them to get to the next level, whether that's going pro or to an American team or a full ride scholarship to the NCAA. And so I always love when an athlete's purpose aligns with their life experience, aligns with what they've been able to create for themselves. And this sponsorship and scholarship just feels so genuine to her.
1,000,000,000%. Like, honestly, when you sent me that article, I was moved by it. Obviously, she's lived in the area that even like my parents are living in as well, like Mississauga.
Yeah.
And I also went to school in Brampton, and I have friends that kind of grew up in similar households, and
Mm-hmm.
I've been a part of the car rides, taking those particular teammates and friends to practice with us.
Yeah.
There was one teammate I had, we had to drive her all the way down to Kentucky because her mom wasn't able to, single parent household, not in a great financial situation, couldn't
Mm-hmm.
afford a flight. And we were the family that took her down, and she ended up getting a scholarship to the States. And now she's like
Oh, life.
happy everything. So
Yeah.
I've seen the impact. Yeah, I've seen the direct impact
Yeah.
of having a community. I've been a part of a community. People have also lifted me up in different ways as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I think it's very special, to your point, even like when you're able to have a direct um impact on something that has personally affected you. And I
Mm-hmm.
think with her in particular, it's such a specific experience and topic that never gets addressed.
Yeah.
And it's also a common one. It's
Yeah.
relatively pretty common.
Yeah.
And you hear this a lot with athletes, especially. They're like, oh, yeah, single parent household. Usually it's the mom who is like the caregiver
Yeah.
of that household that had to bend over backwards to make sure that the bills were paid. And like, it's actually like, to your like point in the article, like when she got called out for like not having bills paid at home, like that, there is a
Bro,
certain
what do you
amount of
mean you're saying that to
embarrassment.
the whole
Like,
team?
what? That's so embarrassing.
Yeah,
Like,
like
it's so
we know,
hard, you
girl, we
know?
know. And oftentimes you hear stories and it's like a choice between, I had a choice between paying this bill or this bill. And so we went without in this regard. And so for parents who understand the value of having their kids in sport or just want to give their kids a normal experience, and that includes sport, they, again, to your point, they run themselves ragged, oftentimes multiple jobs, oftentimes leaning on family for support financially and otherwise to make sure that your kid gets to do something that they love and still have a childhood despite the fact that they understand the struggles that are happening. And like, I'm going to say this for all the parents in general, like I don't have kids, but kids are annoying, right? Like they're a lot of work. And yes, I understand that when you have a kid, it's like a love that you've never felt before. I understand your heart is living outside your body. I understand that you would do anything for them, but they also never go away. They're always there. And me at my big age, I'm also still always there at my parents' house being like, what's in the fridge? Dad, can you go to Costco? Like it never stops. And so I cannot imagine having 7 daughters, trying to give them all a positive experience in a field of their choosing or a hobby that they love, and being like, I want to do everything I can to make sure they at least have this one safe space, this one sanctuary that they can try and become the dream life that they want and have to have a community around you to do that. And it takes a village in every regard. No matter what you try to accomplish, anything that's worth accomplishing takes a village. But I love that now Kadeisha is in a position where she's like, I want to specifically focus on this niche, because that mentorship component too is she's going to have experiences that these girls are going to have that you and I wouldn't be able to relate to in that regard.
Yeah. Exactly. And okay, there's two train of thoughts I have. One is that in the article you sent me, it also did specify that she had to choose between shoes for school
Or new
or
boots.
new soccer cleats.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And she chose boots.
And
And she chose her soccer
boots.
cleats. Yeah.
And it was the soccer cleats. And I mean, obviously those soccer cleats now have brought her tons of success, but what a tough choice and what a tough decision, especially when you're a kid. You're insecure usually,
Hmm.
most of us are,
Yeah.
and you have to choose to fit in, basically. That's like the biggest, not just like new shoes for school. No, are you going to choose to get made fun of probably or like be like what are those, or are you gonna
Yeah.
get like choose to like pursue your soccer dreams? And it's too bad like she didn't have both, obviously, and
Yeah.
like who knows, like you don't know the extent of it, and that's just what's in the article. I'm sure the it goes way 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 further. But I was gonna also say on top of that, it got me kind of thinking about, I don't know, when you have like one of those rage moments, like I was like really mad,
Okay.
like yeah, it
You know
triggered
when
me a
you
little
like
bit
see red?
because like when you like see red, yeah,
Yeah,
because like
I
I was thinking
do.
about this. I'm like, it was such a specific cause, and like there's a lot of fantastic male athletes that have foundations, that have
Hmm.
platforms, but I just feel like this is like very specific to a really good cause, and I'm like, I don't think for all the resources, the power, and the money that a lot of male athletes have, I'm only kind of seeing now like what women athletes, her, and even though it's not foundation based, but it's still investing in something that's growing. Juju Watkins, what she's investing with Boston, what they're choosing to do with their money, basically.
Hmm.
Like they're choosing to reinvest it into women's sports. They're choosing to build specific foundations that have impacted people in their own shoes
Hmm.
that they've lived in. And I just think sometimes when I think about male athletes and we've been around them, there's like, yeah, I just threw money at like this hospital or like, yeah,
Oh,
like, and like that's
stop.
great. And that's great. Listen, and that is great. But like, is it intentional or did you just do it because your agent told you to do it? Because like sometimes when something feels so personal, it means more, you care more. And it's like, okay, great. I'm happy you have a foundation. I'm happy you do kids camps on the side for things. And like I said, that's still impact regardless. Maybe you have some people do scholarships. I love that. I love the scholarship thing. But for the most part, I just feel like women are so much more intentional with what they're doing with their discretionary income and giving back to their communities and to their own sports or the overall broader impact of women's sports. That's where I was just like sitting with this morning. I was like, why don't more men do this? I know it's patriarchy, we could go into that, but like why don't I hear more stories about men doing these types of things? I feel like I only hear it these days, specifically from the women's side.
Yeah, I don't know the answer. I don't know if it's fair to go broad strokes with the male athletes and their foundations because I've seen a lot of like impactful things and things that are like very specific to that person. DeAndre Ayton, for example, like I know, and I'm biased in this regard, like I know Bailey Williams is one of his managers and they do a lot of stuff that is very, very customized to his experience and to the Bahamas where he is from and trying to give back in a really intentional way. I think sometimes there's a few elements. One can be it's expected of you. And so, to your point, maybe a name is slapped on a foundation, but there really is no general interest in being actively involved aside from your like X amount of appearances. But I do think that there are people who, do have more of a investment in it personally. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be like as creative or as hyper specific as Kadeisha Buchanan's initiative with FIFA. But I think that like those give backs and taking kids to the store to go shopping for Christmas and all that stuff, like I do think that resonates with athletes in a way that, again, it might not be as curated. But here's what I will say about your point about the women's stuff feeling really curated is that, as you know, when you're a woman in a space that's generally reserved for men, you feel like every move you have to make has to be pristine. You feel like you can't drop the ball. So, again, in the grand scheme of things, getting $25,000 is quite a nominal amount, quite frankly, when you think about how much money FIFA has. So she's sitting there saying, okay, I need to stretch this $25,000. I need to figure out how to make maximum impact in a way that's going to mean the most to me, my family, my legacy. So, how do you sit down and you plan that? And you don't want to mess it up because what if the organization feels like the returns aren't worth it? Or what if the business model doesn't account for A, B, and C, and now it doesn't happen again? And you don't want to be one of the reasons that it didn't happen for the next person.
Yeah. No, I know 100% I hear that. And it is nominal of a number. It should be way more. But we're just beginning. It's just beginning stages. Um, to my point, what I'm saying, I'm not saying that the work that the men are doing is nothing. Like, it's
Yeah.
obviously when you throw, even if you blindly throw money at something, you're still blindly throwing money at something that's going to change someone's life. I love that. I just think, and like to the DeAndre Ayton example as well, like I was in the Bahamas and man, were they ever rooting for him? Like they were
Hmm.
championing his name. And I'm sure it has to do also with the impact and how he represents the Bahamas as a whole. I think there's specific athletes that I've seen and I've covered that, like I
Yeah.
said, like they do personal scholarships, they do this, they do that. But I just think as a whole, more of a
Yeah.
collective, I'm like, and also to your point of like, well, it's nice when they go out kids shopping. Well, guess I don't think a lot of people know that that's usually team and organized, like organizational. Like that's not necessarily always specific to an athlete. It might still be some athlete money, but sometimes it is actually organized by the team
Hmm.
themselves.
Yeah.
And so it's obviously an optics game at that point. Like, yeah, once again, you're still impacting people and changing lives. You're still making that same effect. But my whole thing is like just the intentionality behind it is just so obvious and glaring to the women's side. And like I appreciate the fact that like as you said, I don't know about you, but I know for myself, even as a black woman in sport media in Canada, where there was literally only like one or two of us, me being one of them, like at a national level, I want to make it easier for the next person. Like
Hmm.
I'm always about like let me invest back into the next person. For me, that could look like going to schools. I have a kids camp myself that I'm there for. I'm not just like putting money in through go run a camp. I've seen that before on the men's side.
Yes.
I'm personally in the weeds,
A namesake camp, and then shoes from your sponsor gifted. Yeah.
literally,
Yep.
exactly. Like it's personal. And so I think as women, maybe it's also somewhat in our nature of like just being like I
Nurturing.
don't know if you want to nurturing and like social community driven. But it's definitely something that I've picked up on. And when you sent me that story, I was kind of like, I love that she's doing it, but it kind of made me contrast it with the opposite.
Hmm.
Like,
Shocking.
you know what's funny?
Yeah.
You know what's
I
funny?
just think
You
it's
know what's not
funny.
happening?
You know what I just think is really, really funny? Really, 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 really funny.
It's like when
Um,
someone's showing up somebody else unintentionally, they're just doing their thing, but now you're showing up everybody else. It's
it's
like,
like,
huh,
oh,
yeah,
now you're showing off. Cool, 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 cool.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I think it's really great. And so more initiatives like this, please and thank you. More money for female athletes to be able to execute their initiatives that they have in mind. And as usual, we'll be watching. We'll be watching.
We'll be watching. I think that kind of wraps it up here for this week's episode. We have survived. We've made it through the weekend.
Barely
Ashley has her talking stick in hand.
battered, beaten, bruised, knocked down, but never out. But
Yo,
never
sick as
out.
a
That's the
dog
one thing
on the
about us.
couch.
Bro,
Bad sleep
I was in
schedule.
shock.
Forgetting birthdays.
After I fell,
Happy birthday.
oh, now you wanna. Okay, go ahead. Take your moment. Yeah, Nadine, pop on
Happy
here.
birthday. Yeah. Pop on to our beautiful, does everything behind the scenes for us, Nadine. She had her birthday last week, Tuesday, which, in all fairness, we didn't have a regular record schedule last week.
Here we go.
So didn't have a chance to see her. But hey, she is brilliant and bright, and I'm going to take her out to Harbor 60
Wow.
because
You know what this is right now? So, just for a backstory, Savannah may or may not have forgotten to message Nadine on her birthday. I did not. But what's going on right now is it's like divorced parents, single child. I gave a basic birthday that had thought. There was balloons. I put your name on a sign.
whatever.
I'm not done talking. You got a cute little
Oh,
cake. And then your dad comes in and is like, let's go to Harbor 60. You want to go see the Raptors? Trying to buy your
you want
love.
a new
And
car?
Nadine, I need you to remember who was here for you.
Whatever. They didn't take the money. You're like, yeah. Listen, sugar babies for life, okay? I'll take the money always.
Now we're going to do a
Yeah.
game where Nadine power ranks her favorite hosts.
Yeah. Go.
Here, go. Don't. We don't want to create a divide.
I was gonna say anything to add?
Happy birthday, my love. We love you. Thank
Happy
you.
birthday.
Thank you. Cutie. Like,
What's the
subscribe.
other one?
Oh,
Mine
did you see
Oh.
my heart?
Oh, I said it. All right, whatever. They hate me. All right, like, subscribe. Thanks for watching Cinderella Stories.